This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Rabbi. At the beginning of the week, I just want to share with you an interesting thought on Parshas Mishpatim. At the end of the Parsha, Parag Chav Gimel, you have right before Shishi. Pasuk says, Reishis bikurei ad mascha tavi beis Hashem leikecha loisvasha gedi b'chalevi mai. The first fruits, the beginning of the ripened fruits of your earth, you should bring to the house of Hashem. You should bring to the Beis Hamikdash. Do not cook a kid in its mother's milk. So here, the pasuk gives us the prohibition of basar b'chalav. There are actually 3 times in the Torah that this prohibition appears. In Parshas Mishpatim, in Parshas Kisisa, and Parshas Rebbe. Very interesting question one would ask is that here we have an Isra Achila of not eating milk and meat. The question is, why is this prohibition in Parshas Mishpatim? This prohibition should be in Parsha Shmini, which is the Parsha of Machales Asuros. What's it doing in Parshas Mishpatim? Additionally, what would the connection be to the beginning of the Parsha? Reishis bikurei ad mascha tavi beis Hashem leikecha. What does it have to do with the mitzvah bikurim? What in the world of not eating or cooking milk and meat have to do with bikurim? And we could add the 2 psukim before. It says shalosh pamim bashana yera'eh kol zechorcha al panei ha'adayin Hashem. 3 times a year you have to be oile regel. What would the isser of basar b'chalav have to do with the mitzvah of aliyah l'regel? So very interestingly, if you look in the Sforno says like this. It says the Sforno that this prohibition is interesting. It says lo yisasu kumayila pu'ulos laharbeis haperos kemachshavas anshe avodah zara. Don't do those actions that the anshe avodah zara do to increase their fruits. Ella reishis b'kurei ad mascha tavi. Just bring your fruits to the Beis Hamikdash, and there they will be blessed. In other words, the Sforno is identifying that there was an ancient custom that in order to cause an abundance of fruits and success and hatzlacha for the fruits, they would actually cook milk and meat and use the mixture of milk and meat to enhance the fertility and the productivity of the fruits. So according to the Sforno, the pasuk is saying like this: do not cook milk and meat. You want your fruits to be successful? Bring them up to the Beis Hamikdash. You want success in your fruits? Reishis b'kurei ad mascha tavi beis Hashem leikecha. Bring your bikurim. That will bring you bracha. But don't do loisevasho gedi b'chalevi mai. Don't think that by cooking milk and meat that will bring success to your fruits. Interesting. The Rambam writes somewhat similar. The Rambam in the Mar Nevuchim in Chelik Gimel Parak Mem Ches, the Rambam says that milk and meat, basar b'chalav, is a very thick, gas type of food, and it creates great productivity for fruits. And so the Rambam adds that this is sort of an idolatrous practice. This is one of the ways that they would celebrate on their Yom Tovim. And the Rambam says the reason why I feel that way is the fact that the Yisr basar b'chalav is introduced with the pasuk of shalish pamim bashana yera kol zechorcha. It's as if it's saying the way to celebrate Yom Tov is by going up to the Beis Hamikdash. But don't celebrate Yom Tov the way the idolaters celebrate Yom Tov, by these concoctions of milk and meat. So basically, putting the Rambam and the Sforno together, which is brought down this way in the Sefer Oyel Moshe, then we understand the flow of the psukim. The beginning of the pasuk says, bring your fruits up to the Beis Hamikdash. There you should celebrate. But don't celebrate the way the Goyim celebrate by cooking milk and meat. Additionally, you should bring your fruits up to the Beis Hamikdash so to attain bracha for them, but not through loisavash gedi b'chalevi mai. That's the connection to shalosh pamim bashana. Well, that would explain why this prohibition is mentioned in this week's Parsha and then not in Parshas Shmini. Because the reason why basar b'chalav is asur, it's not a machala asura. It's not a forbidden food like other machalas asuros. The isra of basar b'chalav, on the other hand, is because of the isra of avodah zara. So therefore it is appropriate not to be with the other isurei achila, which are more inherent to the food itself, as opposed to this, which is an idolatrous practice. But now, this would explain why basar b'chalav is asar b'hana. Most other foods are not asar b'hana. other machalos asuras are not asur b'hana. Why is basar b'chalav an isur hana? According to the Rambam, according to the Sforno, since it's an idolatrous practice and avodah zarah is asur b'hana, this would explain why basar b'chalav is asur b'hana as well. What's interesting is that there's a very relevant story. It's brought down in a number of Svarim. It's brought down in the Sefer Asifas Chachamim, this week's Parsha. It's brought down in the Sefer of Sichas Chulin Shel Tamei Chacham, Perek Tes, Ois Lamed Vav. It's brought down in the Sefer Zichroin L'Moshe, Zikarin L'Moshe, page Kuf Lamed Vav. It's brought down in the Sefer Pardes Yosef. And the story goes as follows. The story goes that Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshutz, who lived in the community of Ehu in Germany, so his custom was when he was in the Beis HaKavod, when he was in the Beis HaKisei, so he didn't want to waste time, he would use the opportunity to learn German. And he was reading a German article in a newspaper, and it was brought down in this article, if somebody wants to cause their fruits to grow faster and sooner, they should cook milk and meat together and pour it on the tree during the course of 30 days, and then the fruits will grow faster even in the winter. And so the Rabbi Yonasan sort of immediately made the calculation. Well, now he understands the juxtaposition of Reishis Bikuri Ad Mascha Tavi Beis Hashem Leikecha Leisavasho Gedi B'Chalevima. You might think that in order to for Zrizim Akdim L'Mitzvahs, you might think that in order to be able to bring Bikurim sooner, you should cook milk and meat and pour it out there, because based on this article, that would cause the fruits to grow faster. So the Torah is saying, no, you should bring your Bikurim, but don't use this methodology to bring it sooner, because and then Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshutz sort of caught himself that he was being Mahara B'Torah in the Beis HaKisei, and he was so distressed by this that he was nichshal, that he fasted 40 tanesin, and he was mekabel on himself that in the Beis HaKisei he did not read Svarim Chitzainim lest it caused him to think in learning. By the way, the Chassam Sofer also adopted this practice that he wouldn't read any books in the Beis HaKisei, even secular books, lest it caused him to think, to be mahar b'divrei Torah. Well, certainly a person has to be careful not to allow his thoughts to lead him to thinking divrei Torah in the Beis HaKisei. But in any event, this pshat that Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshutz thought of is pretty much what the Sforno and the Rambam are saying. So it seems like a good pshat, an interesting pshat, and something for you to think about. I wish everybody a wonderful week.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.